Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Semi-Soccer Experts Podcast, also known as the
C podcast.
Podcast. Welcome to episode number 34.
34.
34. The second World Cup was in 1934.
Oh, really?
That's as far as you'll get with that number.
Well, I was telling you before we went live, I actually know a soccer player with number 34, Granit
All
Xhaka.
right.
Yeah, apparently I thought it was because I noticed it was him and Ricardo Rodriguez. I thought it was like something with the Swiss national team, but I did some digging, couldn't find anything. I guess the number means some significance for Xhaka, so he personally keeps that and he has the number tattooed to him. So I guess when he was brought up or whatever the case may be, it's something that he likes and he cherishes. So it's a cool thing. But I also know that 34 is another number for a basketball player, Shaq, back in the days.
Shaq wore number 34? I didn't know that.
34, yeah.
All right. And speaking of Shaka, this past weekend, Arsenal won the FA Cup, beating Chelsea. What was they won on penalties, right?
No, it was 2-1, 2-1 final. And the cool thing, though, from, USA fan standpoint, Pulisic scored the opening goal for Chelsea. It's a nice little goal that he had. But unfortunately, he was carried out due to, he literally looked like he tore his hamstring on an open play. And he managed to even get the ball close to the net, but he couldn't finish because by the time he was about to shoot, it looks like his hamstring gave up on him. He was, screaming in pain. So hopefully, I wish him a speedy recovery because, he's a great player.
Right, 100%. And a big congrats to Emiliano Martinez, the goalkeeper from Argentina who played for Arsenal. And interesting thing, he joined Arsenal at 17 in 2012. But actually before that, as a youth player, he joined in 2010. And he's been loaned out to, let me get the count right, 1, 2,
They probably shit ton of clubs.
4, 5, 6 different teams before he got the starting spot at Arsenal. And all that hard work got him the FA Cup trophy. So,
oh yeah, that's true. Because I was like, wait, isn't Leno playing? But then I remember he got injured a couple of weeks back when Arsenal. I forgot who they played. It was like Brian or somebody. He got injured on the play. Oh, okay. So that's not too bad for him.
yeah, no. So again, Bernard Leno, he wasn't starting for Arsenal, but Martinez got his, I guess, first piece of silverware, and all of social media was, kind of talking about it, like congratulating him, talking about the hard work, the dedication, the patience, and finally kind of reaching the pinnacle of football. So I mean, not the pinnacle, but
For Arsenal's fan standpoint, is their pinnacle.
But for an individual player,
yeah, I can only imagine you're loaned out to 6 different clubs. You don't even know if you're gonna play for the club that even purchased you from the time being, and you just don't know what's gonna happen. And then this opportunity comes, he took advantage of it, got to be goalie, and won an FA Cup. It was a pretty much contribution to the team. So shout out to that.
All right. So Adrian, what do you want to get into tonight? What's our first topic of the day?
Bro, man, I don't even know how to tackle this. But well, let's start with MLS's back tournament. This tournament has been interesting to say the least. Last episode I was saying, hey, whoever wins between LAFC and Seattle may actually go to the end. Was I wrong? So LAFC, who initially did beat Seattle, lost to Orlando via penalties. I actually watched the game too. It was a pretty exciting back and forth game, and it looked like LAFC was going to pull this game away. They were winning 1-0 off of a Bradley Wright Phillips goal, and then at the last minute, literally, Orlando tied it up 1-1. And then, with the MLS's back tournament, they don't do extra time, so it went straight to penalties. And with that, Orlando was able to skate through with penalties, and they're in the Final Four. So they're going to face Minnesota next in the semis. And on the other side, you got Portland against Philadelphia. So our friends at YCFC almost made it through, but got kind of, spanked by Portland 3-1.
Right, not quite. So Orlando City. Orlando City, interesting about them. Their coach is Oscar Pereira, a Colombian who used to coach FC Dallas. He was also at Tijuana. So I'm wishing, as a Colombian myself, I'm wishing him success. And then you got Portland Timbers, who is being coached by Giovanni. I can never pronounce his last name.
As long as all we know is that he's our former Cosmos coach.
Former Cosmos coach. So we also wish him the best. And for Giovanni, he's one game away from going to back-to-back finals.
Yeah.
So I think he's definitely proven his worth as a manager, that he knows what he can do. Even though people say, oh, it's just the Cosmos, his team was kind of stacked in the old NASL, but this man proved it. He's proving it as a coach. He already proved it as a player. So again, as a former Cosmos employee, I wish him the best, and I think he has a good chance of being the Philadelphia Union.
Yeah, I think so too. I would personally say out of the Final Four, Orlando shocked me, so I wouldn't be surprised if they make it to the final as well. But them probably against Portland is looking like what the final's going to end up being. So I do wish Giovanni all the best, and hopefully he does get a trophy, because I can imagine he's been putting in a lot of work for Portland. He did take them to a final, and they're looking to be on the up. So definitely want to see them go farther. And with that, since the MLS tournament is almost near its completion, we've been reading up about the season, when it's going to potentially restart, because I thought they would push it back like a month or two, just to see how it's going to go. But in this latest post from the Washington Post, they're saying, the sources saying that the MLS season is going to potentially return the weekend of the 21st. So we're recording August 3rd. It's literally 2 weeks away. And they're going to have teams, and there's really no set of specifics, like where the teams are going to play. But it's looking like teams are going to play like what the normal season calendar was, already showing, or was going to have. So what do you think about this?
Well, to be honest, I thought that the MLS tournament, for one, was going to be that's it. Once they crown the tournament,
I think that's what it should be too.
That's done for 2020. I didn't think that they were going to push something after this tournament, but given that there's still almost half a year left, I think 4 months left of the year. You still you have a lot of space, and the issue is that you got these professional players. They need to be kept in top shape. They got to be kept in fitness. They got to be playing. I think my idea would be to have them play the teams in their region, and I'm not saying New York, the Red Bulls, or NYCFC go play Philly or New England. I'm talking about like New York Red Bulls plays the Cosmos, plays some of the other lower league teams in the area.
Amsterdam, potentially.
Amsterdam, which is a brand new team we'll talk about in a second. There's also then you go back to LA. LA has definitely a lot of lower league teams in those regions. I think these franchises should play those other teams in their respective markets. Obviously Minnesota might have a bigger difficulty playing different teams. So it really depends, but it would be a great thing for U.S. soccer to have top flight teams go play smaller teams in their respective regions. But, and now you're looking at the thing about legality of, as we all know, MLS is one entity. Can this one entity go mingle with these individual clubs, such as the New York Cosmos?
I see why not. If they're able to play against each other in like U.S. Open Cup type of tournaments and all that,
but they're playing
friendly.
They're playing in U.S. Open Cup. They're not playing in friendlies.
I'm saying, but you can still survive a friendly.
But think about it. The U.S. Open Cup, they entered that tournament. They have insurance. When the Red Bulls go play in the ICC, it's branded as a tournament. Technically, they're friendlies, but they're under insurance. There's coverage. There's liability. So imagine an MLS asset tears his ACL versus New Amsterdam FC player.
Yeah. Well, that's a tricky thing about it, to say the least.
The point. I'm all for it, but that's the loophole that I think you would have to jump.
Yeah.
Assuming that there is a loophole. Because knowing MLS, they want to protect their assets, they want to protect their product, their identity.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. Like those instances, you obviously need to have a proper insurance and everything else kept up to up to date. Because if the player does tear his ACL in like a scrimmage, friendly, whatever you may call it, it's gonna be like, what the fuck? Like, but I feel like if you're gonna try and implement that, you should definitely look out for like all your players and making sure that they're covered, or you put specific coverage, or like fill out a waiver, whatever the case may be. At least get the proper procedure done. But with that being said, I do agree with you, and like you can have all these different matchups, especially within teams within the region. Because here in New York, we're a big market area, so we're obviously going to have all of these teams and playing amongst each other. But you did hit the spot. Like if there's a team like in Minnesota, there's not much other teams that you can wiggle out of there. Or I gotta fly. But like I was saying from the Washington Post article, it's looking like they're gonna play their regular season as if nothing happened, and they're just gonna continue from there. And there's actually speculation saying that there's some teams that may actually allow some fans in to the stadiums, which I don't really agree as of yet. I know NFL is going to try and do that as well. It's still idiotic in my mind. But, what do you think about that, Mario?
I think it's a bad idea. I mean, you look at that. We're witnessing MLB that because of logistics, weren't able to have a tournament in a bubble. Weren't able to have a season in a bubble like the NBA or the NHL and MLS. So MLB has cases of players, staff contracted coronavirus. Look at what's happening with the Marlins. The Marlins, like 14 of their players and staff got coronavirus, and I think they had to postpone some of the games. Let's go to another different example. The USL, I believe, was it San Diego or Oakland Roots? One of those.
The Galaxy 2, wasn't it Galaxy 2?
The Galaxy 2, I think the Galaxy 2, some of those players got coronavirus because, again, these people aren't being isolated.
Or they're not properly doing social distancing.
I mean, that too. I mean, but right. No, they're not doing social distancing. So, again, if MLS is going to do something, you already have the examples of it really not working.
Yeah.
Especially that you want to add spectators. Now, we talked about this before. Hosting a game with just regular staff and the camera crew and stadium crew to facilitate a game, you're looking at what, 200, 300 people. Maybe not. Maybe 100, 200, depending. But if you add spectators, you got to add, if they're going to have concessions, you have to have security. You have to have ushers. You have to have people who sell the tickets. You got to have on top of that extra. So you're not just adding the spectators. You're adding also the staff to handle those spectators.
Yeah, that's another liability in my opinion. I don't agree with that as well.
100%. Now you got to find an insurance company that's going to that's going to agree to. I'm opening up a stadium full of spectators.
Yeah.
And what insurance company is going to agree to that?
Yeah, especially in these times, like it's probably going to be a high rate to say the least.
It's a high rate.
Yeah, because one thing, and what I think is that they're probably going to do as well with the spectators if they allow them in, probably have them sign a waiver or something saying, hey, I may have the virus, I don't even know, but hey, if I go attend the stadium, I can't blame you or sue you about it.
Correct. No, that's going to be 100% that they're gonna ask to do that. And then here's the issue. Another issue is as a fan, maybe not me personally, but other individuals as fans, they're not as imposed, or they don't really care about social distancing and wearing a mask. As an employee, that mindset is different.
Yeah.
because I'm at work.
You're
You're
mandated to do
you're
it.
mandated to do X, Y, Z, and then you also think about it. Wow, I need a paycheck. I'm going to do what my employer tells me to do. If it's just wearing a mask. As a spectator, I'm going to get drunk. Some people are going to say, I don't want to wear this mask. They
Yeah.
want to act out. That's the other issue.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, because if you're going to work and you got to deal with those type of fans, good luck.
But
Oh,
look, it's a hazard because you don't know if these fans are carrying a
yeah,
coronavirus.
exactly.
It's
But then,
possible that if you're working at Red Bull Arena, you probably do get tested. The organization is forced to get tested. You don't know where these fans come from. You don't know what their life at home is, or where they're working at, or where they've been.
or where they've been exposed to. So it is, and that's the thing too. Like that's why I do not agree for any fans to come back. And we don't even have a vaccine for this. And people already, or like organizations are already saying, "Hey, let's bring the fans back. Let's have fans in stadiums." Like, no, there's not even no test being done or nothing to cure, or like treat the virus as it is. So
Right.
I feel like people are jumping the gun way too early on this. And even in Europe, like they're not even going that crazy. Other than like I think the French league is the only one that's going to allow spectators for the time being. But they've taken a better approach to this, and they're still being smart about it. Contrast to us, we're just like, hey, fuck you. We want your money. We want fans in, etc. I'm like, oh, you're just adding to the cause of why there's going to be more cases rising and rising, and we're not going to be fully done with this for
Right.
like next year or so.
Yeah, it's going to be a long time before we're completely done with this. So again, it's a crazy time. There was a USL the Forward Madison in Wisconsin. They did allow some spectators in, but they were mandated to, like, I think they were separated by 2 seats or a
Yeah.
minimum of 6 feet, and they all had to wear masks. And it seemed like the whole game went okay, where and this was maybe a couple days ago. So based on the incubation period of the virus, we're still not seeing the fallout, if there is a fallout. And hopefully for them, because I actually like Ford Madison as a team, that there is no fallout. So it also stands from the organization standpoint. Can they organize fans to act appropriately?
Yeah, depends. Like if sober, yeah. If drunk, hell no. And but going back to what we were talking about, the MLS season coming back, I forgot to touch base on this, but like since the season's planning to open up back so quickly, what are you gonna do with your Canadian teams? Currently, MLS has 3 Canadian teams, and they pretty much can't go into the state, can't play at home. So I know what MLB did with Toronto. They have them playing in Buffalo. But for the other teams, what are you gonna do? You're gonna have Toronto playing Buffalo too?
Right. No, the Canadian teams, it's going to be problematic. Uh, if I were the Canadian teams, and I think MLS has to be at somewhat understanding about this, I would join temporarily the Canadian Premier League if they're doing something. I don't know where the Canadian Premier League is because they're a brand new league, but it would give the Canadian MLS teams competition and play, and they could broadcast something. I mean, I'm sure they would have to figure out some TV revenue rights. I'm sure the MLS would want a little more bigger cut than the Canadian Premier League teams, but you know, based on the situation, I think there has to be some type of understanding there. So it goes back to the point we said earlier about how those teams need to play regionally.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I think that would be more a better idea for Canadian as well. If you're out there, you're gonna be stuck out there, and if you want to play home games, I would see why not stick them in the Canadian Premier League. Get them those rare matchups that you're probably not gonna see for years. Playing teams within your own region, and it's also a good testament to see how good the Canadian Premier League can be if they can hold up against MLS teams. But
Right.
will MLS go for this? Probably not, to be honest. I just think they're gonna probably relocate Toronto probably to Buffalo. Vancouver probably around like the Seattle region, And Montreal, probably the same thing as well. No, actually, Montreal's the other way. It's by Toronto. So probably like Buffalo as well, or
No,
somewhere within the New York League.
Montreal will probably be a Boston. So
Mean
with
Streets
the
of
New
Boston.
England Revolution.
That would be fun. But yeah, so that's pretty much the pickle where the MLS is in right now. And it's weird, and I feel like it's way too soon for the season to start. But hey, I guess they're pretty much being pressured, probably by ESPN and Fox Sports, with the TV rights, and they're like, hey, we want you guys to start soon, etc. Get the players on. You did the tournament, figure it out, get it sorted. I think that's pretty much what they're dealing with, and it's a shitty situation. Like, I'm glad for the amount of soccer we got back, and this MLS is back tournament has been a great thing. But I think they're just going way too ahead of themselves in regards to returning the season and not having a full plan out. And when Don Garber was asked to comment, he says, "Don't have an update. We'll provide you an update when we have one." So that doesn't sound so reassuring.
No, it doesn't. No, it's the situation we're living in.
Yeah.
But let's switch some gears. I know there's our next big topic that you want to talk about. Let's go to Europe.
Yes. So since we were talking about the TV revenue, the one thing I do want to talk about is CBS Sports. And what people are asking, like, what's CBS Sports to do with soccer? They actually picked up the Champions League for the next couple years. So, and the funny thing is, the Champions League, which still hasn't finished yet, is still going to continue on the last part of the round of 16, and starting this coming week. And then they're going to go to quarterfinals and then play out there in Portugal for the remainder amount of games. I think it's Portugal or Germany. I got it confused with the Europa League, but I know it's one of those countries. So with that being said, CBS Sports have picked up the rights to stream Champions League football. However, this is not, for me personally, this is a shitty idea. I kind of get why CBS Sports want to stream the games from a business mindset. But if you're trying to get more eyes on the product and everything else like that, and they're pretty much going to stream all the games online. So like what you have to do for ESPN Plus or NBC Sports Gold, etc. You have to pay for this service just for champion. And mind you, Champions League is not every week, but for the time being, like with this whole tournament, like now that's going to wrap up, it's going to be like on a weekly basis. And with that, you're just going to get all the games just streamed on there. And in contrast to that, if you got cable or you just have basic channels, you can watch it on Univision, which is going to actually stream all the Champions League games on their end.
Yeah, no. So, my question is, Turner Broadcasting is still not Turner
TNT.
TNT. Where were, I feel like this is a stupid question, but where were we watching the Champions League? I know we were watching on
It was on TNT.
It was on TNT, right?
Yeah, TNT.
And that's where they do it via Bleacher Report.
Yeah, because Bleacher Report's part of Turner Broadcast.
So 2021 onward, it's going to be on CBS?
Technically now it's under CBS because since it was 2020 is when it's like I guess the fall, when the Champions League starts back up. I guess they brokered a deal where they're just gonna have the rest of the tournament being aired on CBS to conclude, the ending of this season. To see who's gonna be the Champions League. Same with the Europa, and with that, CBS Sports is just gonna be like, hey, we're gonna stream all your games, etc. We're gonna you're not gonna see it on our basic channel. Mind you, Champions League games are mostly played at 3:00, like 2-3 o'clock ish around here in East Coast time. You know what's being played on fucking CBS Sports on that time on a regular day? Soap operas.
Right.
And and it's probably a rerun.
Right,
so it's not a soap opera that's being played like.
It's not prime time.
Exactly. And you have a product that's people actually want to see and will actually give you ratings. And you can attract more eyeballs. You can easily say Barcelona, Messi, going to play against Napoli. People are going to be like, oh, okay, 3:00, not bad. I'll watch it. CBS, right then and there. But no, they just want people to just stream the game, pay for the service, stream the game. And I guarantee you that they're not going to make as much money as they're pretty much projecting. Because one, they haven't done shit for advertising. Two, they're fucking. I don't even know how much price. The price ranges for this.
Well,
And
I just saw here that the price is not that bad. It's actually $5.99 a month, and that's
so pretty
basically
much like ESPN Plus.
ESPN Plus. So it's going to be Champions League, Europa League, and the Women's Soccer League.
NWSL. They do have the rights for that. I'm surprised they do. So I guess this is something that they're trying to expand on. But like I said, especially for the NWSL, not many people follow that league. Like more casual soccer fans, they're not gonna follow that because one, they're not gonna know like where to watch it or invest their time and money just to get a fucking piece of shit deal that they got with them and just watch it on a consistent basis. Because especially if you got ESPN Plus, what makes CBS Sports that much intriguing?
It doesn't, but I kind of want to. I want to know why Turner and Bleacher Report opted out of their decision.
I think they just didn't they didn't renew, or they just got outbid by CBS. That's what I would assume.
I'm reading here that they opted out of the contract.
Oh,
that's what I'm reading. So my question is, and honestly, so I think at the beginning we spoke about this once about how Champions League was much better. I liked it a lot on ESPN, and it wasn't too bad on Fox.
I would say Fox Sports actually did a pretty good job, even though they had some douchebags as commentators.
They did a good job, and I think in the beginning of the Champions League season back in 2019, we spoke about how like we weren't on board with Turner Broadcasting, TNT, Bleacher Report. We're like, it's kind of weird. I think they did a good job. I don't think that Bleacher Report and Univision did a bad job. I think they did a good job broadcasting the Champions League and the Europa League. I don't know why, and I feel like a lot of people watched it and didn't really complain. So I don't know. Is the Champions League not a money grabber?
I don't think it was a moneymaker for them. That's what I probably.
I don't understand how it could have been because a lot of people were watching it.
Yeah.
It's not like people weren't watching the Champions League. People have been watching the Champions League more now than they did before ever.
Yeah, and it's been increasing, but now with you're having the rights being just streamed online and everything else with that, I don't think you're gonna get much more eyeballs watching the product because one, you have to, unless you really know and you're a fan of soccer, you're gonna be like, hey, I know, oh, this game's gonna be streamed. Okay, I'm gonna order it or do whatever I gotta do. It's in contrast to like flipping the channel and just saying, hey, there's soccer here on the guide. You could be like, oh, okay, I could watch this. Pretty simple. So I just feel like I just think what Bleacher or Turner just did, they were just like, hey, we're not getting as much numbers as we projected. I know you said that they were, getting a lot of people, and they weren't complaining, but I just don't think they got as much viewers as they initially wanted, and they probably just wanted to, just see them wait this out of it. And they're like, hey, CBS just picked this up.
All right. Well, I mean, the good news is that Univision is still staying because they'll have the Spanish language rights.
Because that's where I'm watching my Champions League.
I mean, honestly, and I think it's going to be tough for the American that doesn't know Spanish. Like, they're going to have to watch it in Spanish.
Aprende español, gringo.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad thing, because it's again, CBS is weird. I just don't understand.
And the funny thing is, like, when I think about CBS Sports, I just think golf or college basketball.
4 years.
I
think they get the Super Bowl. They rotate between.
Oh yeah, and NFL. Yeah, that too.
That's the only thing I think of with CBS.
That's what I'm saying. So it's weird, but I'm just trying to understand why they picked it up. But I don't know.
I think they'll drop it when they.
For me personally, I wish I was so pissed off when that happened. I was like, why didn't ESPN go for a bid? ESPN could easily done that, And I don't give a fuck.
The
They
Mouse
added
has
a
money.
dollar or two more for Champions League for ESPN Plus. I would gladly pay for that
The Mouse
because
has
yeah,
money.
exactly. And the thing too, because imagine this: you would have the Champions League, Serie A. They already have FA Cup, and they have MLS as well. And they have so much content, sports content people actually like to watch on a daily basis.
Right.
Would have been a win-win for ESPN Plus.
They also have the FA Cup.
Yeah, I mentioned that.
Oh, you did say that. Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, and that's the fun, and that's the crazy thing because like I get it. Like nowadays, like it took me a while to like really invest to watching games online in contrast to watching on cable because I've always had cable. But now I'm like whatever, I'm used to it. I have my PlayStation, just download ESPN Plus, just watch it there. Just the shitty thing is like another thing too is like bars. Like, when you usually go to a bar, you can always tell like the bartender, hey, can you change to this channel? Can you change to that channel? I was recently at a bar nearby my neighborhood and I asked, hey, are you guys showing Manchester United Chelsea? And they're like, yeah. I called them. And they're like, yeah, we're showing it. And then when I get there, the game wasn't playing. They were showing I think it was the EPL was on, and they were. I guess they must got confused. I'm like, yeah, this is on ESPN Plus. Don't you guys got it? They're like, no. So I wasted my time and money out there, and then I just had to end up going back home just to watch the game. And I think that's gonna be like a big discrepancy with when you're streaming games like popular games like Champions Leagues and you can't even watch at a bar unless it's a soccer bar, and obviously they're gonna go head over heels just to stream it.
Right, and I think that's also a bigger point just in general. Everybody has a lot of people still have cable, and one thing is paying for cable, another thing is paying for 6 different HBO, Netflix, CBS, ESPN,
NBC.
NBC.
NBC is actually coming out with a new thing. I just remembered. Now it's just the Peacock.
So, people don't want to be having to pay. And
you're gonna end up paying more than cable for
right. You end up
streaming sites.
Cable, like it doesn't make sense. I think it's a bad business model for the consumer. Obviously, for corporations, it's great, but for consumer, it's bad. It's bad. And you think about, like you said, you think about bars. A bar is not going to pay ESPN, CBS, NBC. They're going to pick one, and hope they can do it. It's not like back in the day where everything was on cable and they just changed the channel.
Yeah.
Or at most you paid for one service. You paid for whatever, one of the ones that you were missing. So I think there's going to be a lot of pushback, especially from venues that whether it is a bar or something else that wants to show the game and they can't because I don't have CV. No one has CVS a subscription. No one can log in.
And that's the thing I mean, it's like, hey, I got ESPN Plus. I'll give you my info if you can just stream the damn game. Right. Like, no, we can't do that.
Right, exactly. So it's a whole mess of things, man.
Yeah, but like I said, for Champions League, I'm just gonna watch Univision. CBS kiss my ass, to be honest. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see. I was very reluctant on watching it on Turner. Definitely reluctant watching it on CBS.
Yeah.
Especially if I have to pay a subscription, I don't.
I have enough subscriptions to deal with.
Yeah, I have enough subscriptions, and I think a lot of people feel like that.
Yeah. So before we end this podcast, there was actually a local derby, New York derby. That when you think of New York derby, you think of Red Bulls and NYCFC, or even like Cosmos and Red Bulls, Cosmos and NYCFC. But we actually had New Amsterdam FC against the Cosmos. That was just played over yesterday, and that game ended up to a draw, 1-1.
1-1. Yes, New Amsterdam Football Club. They started their new franchise that's playing in the NISA. Some people call it NISA. Some people spell out the acronym. So a little confusing there. But yes, they drew 1-1 against the New York Cosmos. They played at the Hudson Valley Sports Complex in Warwick, New York. So it's about like 60 miles outside of the city. So not too far enough. They drew 1-1. I was fortunate to watch the last 20 minutes of the game. I'm going to watch the replay tomorrow morning, and I'm going to analyze the game. Uh, they look NAFC have a lot to work on, but they look like a professional team. They definitely do. They had some young players, but definitely some young good players willing to step up to the New York Cosmos. And I'm very surprised that the New York Cosmos only got away with 1-1. Seeing that they have loads of experience, they've been a professional club a long time. So it was a really interesting thing to see. Also, I do believe in the NISA, Detroit City, which is one of the heavyweights for the league. They won their inaugural game 3-0. I think they played a team from Buffalo, but I'm not completely sure.
Yeah, and to be honest, I didn't even know the game took place until like I saw it like on Instagram. I was like, wait, they're playing each other today? And I guess because they just try and get the season started and up and running, and I think they're just doing keeping within their region. That's why they pretty much played the Cosmos already. And it's good though to see New Amsterdam getting up and kicking. Speaking of that, they actually have a new head coach as well, Eric Guarnalda. Was he at the game yesterday, or could you?
I do not think he was. I didn't see him in the stands. I could be wrong.
Probably an interim manager or something.
No, he's the full-time manager.
No, I know, but like whoever was there yesterday who was coaching.
Oh, right, yeah, the interim manager. Yeah, uh, yeah, I wasn't sure who it was, but I assume it'd be an interim manager. But yes, Eric Guarnalda, he was the former, he's a former USA legend. He was the former coach of the Las Vegas Lights, and he was there for 2 years. He did a pretty good job. I'm pretty sure he went into the playoffs one year. So he didn't do too bad. Uh, Las Vegas Lights is a really interesting team. Their uniforms are out there.
I haven't even seen their uniforms, but I'll definitely give it a look.
Right. But yeah, no, in New Amsterdam FC, the Twitter world, soccer Twitter is a very interesting place. I think you would agree with me, Adrian, that the New York Cosmos had the aesthetic, had the feel of the People's Club, the club for the people, correct. But they never used that statement. They never used that logo. New Amsterdam FC is calling themselves the People's Club. They use it officially. And I saw a lot of Cosmos diehards on Twitter. They were very upset about the statement. So interesting thing. And I think between New York City, the New York Cosmos and NAFC, they're both the People's Club. I think, New York Cosmos, their reluctance on dying, they're fighting the big fight is one thing, and then NAFC, which is bringing all these grassroots kids, training them to play professionally. I think both of them have the ideals of the people of, representing them, as opposed to the Red Bulls and NYCFC, which kind of is the top dog, the big shiny toy, more of the brand, so to say, I guess. I don't want to call it the team for the corporations, for the big businesses.
Yeah.
Because it's not like that, but it has that feel. If you catch my drift, I guess.
No, I definitely do. And the funny thing though, since New Amsterdam is like brand new team, and it was pretty much their first game against the Cosmos yesterday. So with that being said, now we have in New York, we have literally 4 soccer teams within the vicinity. And this is not counting number 5, who is QBFC, which is planning to start up very soon and will be in the USL.
I completely forgot about QFC.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like now coming to like within like 2-3 years, like there's gonna be 5 teams in the New York City region.
well, you got QFC, but even then, you still go down. You got a couple of teams that play in the UPSL, which is the highest amateur league,
Yeah.
and I think you got a lot of teams you got a couple teams in Jersey, and I'm talking about like right across the river, not like South Jersey or down by Philly. I'm talking about that area of Jersey. You got a couple teams there, and then you got a couple. I know Brooklyn Italians. They all play in MPSL, which was the league that the Cosmos was playing prior to the NISA. So there are a host of professional level teams in the area.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like you're always gonna have those lower league teams that are still considered professional, but at the same time they don't have that big market approach in contrast to the other teams. Because New Amsterdam, their marketing team has been lighting it up. They put themselves out there like, hey, we're New York's team as well. Just because we just came out, we're one and done. Like we're out here, we want to play. And I think this result against the Cosmos was good news for them because they were able to say, hey, we can hang with the big guys, just give us some time and we'll see what we can do. And me and you, we love the Cosmos, but at the same time, this will be interesting to see how it goes. And I can only imagine how the Derby days will go in the near future, especially when they have like their own stadiums. And when the game's about to start, especially how the fans get riled up and all. So it'll definitely be an interesting scenario to see. I probably want to go to a derby one of these days as well, just to feel the atmosphere. Because that's one thing I love about soccer. Like the atmosphere for those derby personal rivalry games, you don't feel that anywhere else. Like the atmosphere is picked up, the players are more hyped up. Everybody just wants to like get a result out of it, and I think that's something that I still like to this day. Like I still remember when the Cosmos faced against NYCFC and the U.S. Open Cup at in Hofstra Field, and the atmosphere there was just rocking for the full 90 minutes.
Yeah, that was a good day.
It was a very good day to say the least. Oh man, but
All
yeah,
right.
hopefully we can get more of those days again in the
Right.
near future, post Corona, COVID, whatever you want to call it.
It will happen.
Definitely.
All right, Adrian. Anything else you want to touch upon before we call it a wrap?
Nothing else. One thing we were trying to get as a topic was there was news that the FIFA boss, I'm probably butchering his name, but Infantino, he was caught with some criminal charges, and there's like some conspiracy being lined up with him and like some other high-ranking officials outside of FIFA. I think in Switzerland or something of that matter. So it's very interesting to see how that ends up. But also Switzerland is a tough area to like, literally do any criminal charges because they're like very hands off and, they don't really, you can't really prosecute people there because of the way the legality is set up there. So it'll be interesting to see. And if anything, hopefully next episode we get some news and updates about it because this can be very bad for FIFA.
No, that's a topic that's going to take a lot of time and in depth.
Yeah.
All right. So guys, thank you again for listening. This is a wrap for us. Adrian.
Yes, thank you guys for listening to our episode. We'll be back with episode 35, hopefully by next week, and we'll provide you with more news and probably Champions League fallout as well. So,
all right, guys, have a good night.